This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome to the World Beyond. Welcome to the World Beyond radio show. I'm your host, Joe Weigant, and as always, we are available on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. For more information on that network or to listen to other shows like ours here, visit www.xzbn.net. I am Joe Weigant, and you are listening to The World Beyond, where we're always going to be talking about things alternative healing, metaphysics, the paranormal, parapsychology, and the supernatural. Today, we have a special guest with us. His name is Zeff West, and he is the founder of Knox County Spiders Paranormal. And you can reach him at his website, Knox CO Spiders, that's KNOXCO Spiders.com. Or you can email Zeffrey at Zeffrey, that's ZEFFREY .west at us.shot, that's SCHOTT.com. Zeffrey is a paranormal investigations expert and has been in the field for more than 10 years. And with his degree in electronics, he actually creates his own evidence capturing equipment. Zeffrey, welcome to the show. You're on the World Beyond today. How are you doing?
Well, thanks for having me, Joe. It's a pleasure being on here and being able to have an opportunity to talk to you today.
Oh, hey, it's the pleasure's all on this side of the mic, let me tell you. We're happy to have you on the show, and we're hoping to learn quite a bit from you. So how long have you been studying the paranormal, and what got you into investigating that and trying to capture the evidence?
Well, I will say that, believe it or not, my story's slightly interesting. My father, Gary West, took me on my very first, I would say, ghost hunt. And it was back in 1997, and I was 10 years old. And I think my dad was more inquisitive about this. And so when we went up to a place in Jasper, Indiana, which is DuBois County, and we sat in I believe it was the Shiloh Church in Jasper. And this was back in 1997. So we had the old Panasonic cassette recorder, the old Polaroid camera, his police mag flashlight, and a smile. and wow. He was so interested in this, and I was 10 years old, and I was just along for the ride. And I really didn't have any experiences there besides just kind of more or less being scared in the dark in an old church with pews creaking all the time, and my dad, spooking me around the corner a few times. But it was enough to intrigue me that by the time I was 16 years old and had my driver's license, me and my best friend, which was Cody Cannon, decided to go around and well, you remember back when we had the dial-up internet where when you had to log on, you had the boom, boom, bring, the whole dial-up system.
Precisely.
It'd take you 5 minutes to load up things, but we were more or less searching for things that were proclaimed to be haunted locations, and we would read the things, if you drive here and flash your lights 3 times and do the hokey pokey, basically, some monster was going to come look at you, or you were going to see red eyes, or I remember doing the haunted railroad tracks there in Du Bois County as well, and it just it all started rolling into just something that I just really did enjoy to do, and really by the time I got to college in the Vincent University and started taking my electronics classes, I was able to tie this hobby of going out and looking for the paranormal. It was more of a skeptic side than it was like a paranormal investigator case thing. It wasn't until basically Rockport, the case of Rockport that at the McKinsey Inn that I actually saw something for the first time. So it did take a while for me to actually find something, but it was an interesting start to it because of starting from a young age with basically no equipment to starting coming up to Vincent's University and learning about electronics and how to make the field better with equipment and going from there.
That is fascinating. We're going to be right back in just a minute, folks. We are talking to Zeff West, who is the founder of Knox County Spiders Paranormal, and we'll be talking more with him on the equipment he uses and the things that he does on investigations. And then we're going to talk about our recent visit to the McPike Mansion in Alton, Illinois. So stay tuned, folks. You're listening to the World Beyond Radio Show right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
Welcome back to the World Beyond Radio Show, right here on the X-Zone Broadcasting Network. I'm your host, Joe Weigant. Today we're talking to a special guest, Mr. Zeff West, who is a paranormal investigator and has been for, since about the age of 10. And he has gone to Vincennes University to attain a degree in electronics and now develops and designs his own equipment that he uses on his own ghost hunts. Zeff, welcome back to the show.
Oh, yes, it's been a pleasure so far, Joe.
Oh, it's going to get even better. So you said that whenever you started going out on ghost hunts, that you started off more as a skeptic than anything else. How did you go from being a skeptic to now going out and trying to capture evidence to prove the existence?
Well, that's that I think that really is an interesting question because I was very stubborn about it, and I could not wrap my head around things like beep your car twice and pull up under the tunnel and flash your lights 3 times and the red eyes would appear, or I believe one of the things in Knox County is the Purple Head Bridge, and I don't know how many times I would go to the bridge and shut the lights off and try to search for the purple head circling the bridge, and just trying to debunk these cases that people have seen and heard.
Yeah. Urban legends and real ghosting is 2 entirely different things, aren't they?
Yeah, and so I basically where I learned the transition is when I decided to take the role on a client side. And what I mean by that is that I was doing it for so long. I understood what, or at least I thought I understood, of what a spirit energy is supposed to be made of, and using my electronic background of how to detect or enhance the spiritual energy. And once I started putting these pieces together, then I started feeling a little more confident with myself to go out and try to work with some clients. Now, Joe, you know Bill Miller very well. It was, I believe, in October of 2012, I went to the WNIN Carpenter House in Evansville. And this is where I had a chance to meet Bill Miller and had a chance to work with him. And when I was up there, it seemed that Bill and I connected very well. We decided to do some investigating together, even though he was hosting the event. We kind of tag teamed quite a bit, and a relationship formed, and I mean a true friendship relationship formed between Bill Miller and myself. And once that relationship formed, I learned what paranormal networking means. And that is very crucial in this field of paranormal investigators, because, Joe, you have a talent, and I don't share the same talent that you do. I don't have the feelings and understand or hear things or things like a psychic would be able to share during an investigation. And Bill Miller has done investigations for so long that he knows what to do at the right moment. And where I share on the networking side is that I understand what the equipment is and what it's supposed to do, and I also create equipment to create new opportunities in that field based upon theory, and I try to bring that to the network side of it as well. And I will say that speaking of this equipment, one of my favorite pieces of equipment to use is the Ovilus. And I'm not to try to help and explain what the Ovilus basically will do is that I'm trying to the Ovilus
it's more
is
of an algorithmic type of.
Yeah, it is, and it is changed throughout the time. And if you've seen some of the TV shows, they kind of start out with an Ovilus X, and it was a programmable device. It's basically an ITC instrument, which is a instrument transcommunicator. And so, basically, what it will try to do is manipulate these. Basically, these the changes that are made said that the paranormal will change the environment. That's the word I was looking for. The environmental changes around, and it will trigger the potential for the device to actually take that change and calculate it to a word, and then move and make that word display. Visually, as well as you could actually hear it with your own ear through the device. Now I believe that depending on which Ovilus you use is the size of the database that has the words in it. As you move farther up, I believe the Ovilus 4 has somewhere a little bit over 2,000 predefined words. And it also has a log on it too that you can go back and put a USB cord in it and go through all the words that you have got that night and see what your log states and see if you can see something like a pattern or something that goes along with the questions that you were asking throughout the night. But when I went to the Thomas House Hotel, and this was back in, I believe, 2013. This is where I caught a piece of evidence that blows my mind still to this day. And I once again was joined with Team SIPI, which is Southern Indiana Paranormal Investigators, led by Bill Miller. And we were at the Thomas House Hotel, and we decided to actually go across the road to where this church was. Now, in the Ovilus, you have what is called a dictionary mode that you can go through the 2,000 some odd words, or you can put it in what's called phonetic mode. Now, phonetic mode basically takes that change of the environment, finds the closest syllable, not word, syllable, and actually states the syllable that it makes. So it more or less makes noises than it does the actual word and displays, which to me is a more accurate way of searching for something because it doesn't go through 2,000 words to pick the closest. It actually tells you exactly what it's trying to get. Now, to the best part of this story is that we are here in the Thomas House Hotel, and we have some individuals in some chairs circled around. We're asking some questions, going around the horn, and allowing some time to talk through. And we I turned on the Ovilus, and all of a sudden, I asked the question, well, were you a pastor? And then I don't understand how the answer comes through, but it's there. The Ovilus said Zeff West. It said my name.
Is that right?
And I have the recording on my website, www.knoxcospiders.com. That video is on there, and Bill and I talked about this for a while, and for the Ovilus to say Zeff West One, it really it got me the goosebumps, which is hard to do. But when you get your name called out, it is something that you don't forget. And one, I sure must have hit the button right, because for me to decide to put it in phonetic mode, I got that piece of evidence. And if I would have had it in dictionary mode, it wouldn't have known to say Zeff West, because that's not one of the 2,000 options for the database to choose from through that generator. So using phonetic mode, I got the best piece of evidence I could have received, which was my name in Tennessee. And I don't know how how I got my name said. I don't know how it knew my first and my last name. I didn't introduce myself. And this is what we love about the paranormal world. We don't understand these kind of things, and that's why we're out there trying to search about it and try to learn about it. But how did a device say Zeff West in Tennessee, and it blows my mind.
Now, how often when you're using a device like that, will you get something that's being said on the Ovilus, but yet also on your audio recorder, you're getting something that's possibly inaudible to humans, but the recorder can pick up? And how many instances have you seen where what's being picked up on the recorder matches what's being broadcast to the Ovilus?
You know, that is an excellent question. And actually, to be honest with you, the answer right now is 0. I have not ever gotten anything as an EVP that matches what the Ovilus actually states. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible, but as far as the investigations that I have done, it's almost, it becomes, when do you use the equipment? I use a REM pod, and whenever the REM pod goes off, which is based upon static and how strong the static is that what device do I want to use now? Do I want to use the Ovilus and try to do it? It's like a gambling game. Do I want to take a chance and use the Ovilus and see if I can get a word said that's easy to understand and read, or do I take a chance with the digital recorder and get an EVP? And sometimes it's best to use whichever one in whatever situation you think is best. A lot of times you will see me use the Ovilus whenever it seems like that you've been doing an investigation and there's not a whole lot going on, and you start maybe getting that feeling that something's starting to come in, and you start recognizing some difference, maybe temperature change, or maybe a couple noises that you know you didn't make. Maybe now you can kind of use the Ovilus and try to direct to how you want your investigation to go. But as soon as you know something's there and you can really detect that you're ready to really capture that piece of evidence to prove that that something's there, I think it's time to turn off your Ovilus and put on your digital recorder to try to collect that EVP, because the EVP is going to probably be more valuable than what your Ovilus is going to say.
Yeah. I saw you using the Ovilus down at the morgue coolers down at Waverly Hills earlier this year, and I thought that was pretty fascinating there. And a lot of what was coming across on the Ovilus was also what I was picking up while we were trying to connect with one of the spirits of one of the nurses down there in that particular room. And that was it was interesting seeing the Ovilus kind of saying about the same things that I was picking up with my abilities of what I do. We're talking to Zeff West today, right here on the World Beyond Radio Show. And for more information on Zeff West and his paranormal investigations group, you can always go to knoxcospiders.com. And we'll be right back after a few minutes, and you're listening to the World Beyond Radio Show right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Welcome back to the World Beyond Radio Show. I'm your host, Joe Weigant, and we are right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Today we're talking to Zeff West, who is the founder of Knox County Spiders Paranormal and the website knoxcospiders.com. Zeff, we've been talking about spiders all morning. Is that an acronym? What does spiders stand for?
Yes. Spiders is actually, it was a fun little story. Hold on one second, Joe.
Yes, sir.
apologize for that. We had a speaker go off here. So basically,
They
your
just have
question.
no respect for radio, do they?
So your question is about the spiders, and I tell you, this came into that transition mode when I decided that it was time to go and jump into glory here and become a paranormal group instead of being the skeptic guy, and once I really decided to change that, the best way to do that is to actually come up with some kind of a group. And to do that, me and my wife decided that we were going to do this together. Now, my wife shares a little bit of the same talent that you have, Joe, and her main focus, though, is EVPs. She'll take the recorders and go through them and look at them very hard and try to find the distinct EVPs, which allows me more time to focus on equipment and video and photography. But the spiders came into play because we got done with an investigation, and I believe it was out of Terre Haute, and we were on the way back to Vincennes, and we decided to stop at the Denny's restaurant there. And we decided that we needed to come up with a name. And believe it or not, I really liked the word spy because I thought it was kind of neat that we go in the dark and we're like little spies, you know. And so to me, spy was kind of the start of it. And so we tried to put acronyms together, which was SPI, which was Solving Paranormal Investigations. And so that's where SPI came in. But as I was talking to Michelle, I told her, I said, you know, what I want to do as an investigator, and probably what clients and people that want to hire an investigating group to come in, is to not just come in and do an investigation. They want to know that this person's coming in and collecting data and is going to try to solve this case. So to do that, you need results. So after I started writing SPI and there was an R in there for results, I kind of started trying to put something together, and I started thinking about, well, we need to deliver the results. So I put a D in there, so I got Solving Paranormal Investigations while delivering extreme results, and that's where the acronym SPIDER comes in. And so we decided from that day we were going to be called the Knox County Spiders. So
I had to go through the same process whenever I developed my group called EPIC, the Evansville Paranormal Investigations and Consulting, because I wanted to be able to be a medium-led group that would come in and actually try to communicate with what was going on and trying to let people in the house know that, this is what's happening and this is why it's happening and this is, what's causing all these things to go on. So that's very interesting. So how many well-known haunts have you investigated, and how many client-led investigations have you performed?
Well, okay, so as far as clients go, I would have no clue of the actual number to tell you as a precise number. I'm going to say is somewhere in the 100s. I'd say somewhere 150. I'd say that a lot of them come from the southern Indiana, the central Indiana area. I have gone to Kentucky. I've been to Illinois, and I think that's basically kind of my little tri-state area that I try to help cover. As far as big locations that I've been, like you said earlier, Joe, we work together down at Waverly Hills Sanatorium down in Kentucky.
Sure.
I have done the WNIN Carpenter House in Evansville with Team Sippy, as well as the Thomas House Hotel in Tennessee. Believe it or not, I know this is a small place, but I really enjoy going there, and that is the Rockport Inn. That's in Rockport, Indiana, Spencer County. But really, as far as any other big names, I think that those are probably the bigger ones that I have been involved with.
So whenever a client calls you up and they say, okay, I've got, pictures flying off the walls and there's doors slamming and I think I saw a shadow in my hallway, and they're describing some of these things to you, describe the process that you go through whenever you get the phone call or you get the email and someone says, I have problems and I don't know why. What do you do from there?
Our first step that we like to do is we normally do a quick phone call. We try to get in contact with them on our website. It allows you to put in your name, your email address, and your phone number, and we try to use that information to get a hold of the client. And believe it or not, my wife and I, Michelle, we are the ones. We kind of operate things slightly different in this way. One of us is going to talk to the client, and the other one person doesn't get to know any information. And most of the time, it's going to be Michelle talking to the client, and I get to be the one left in the dark, literally. And so the idea here is that when I go into the client's home, I don't want to know anything about it, and I'm going to go in with my equipment, and I'm going to try to prove something is there, and I'm going to try to come up with the same thing that the person that called us wants to want to know is true or not. And so most of the time, Michelle will have all the information down in a notebook that I don't get to see, and we take it from that way, because then it just kind of helps. In my mind, it helps prove that what we're trying to do with cameras and EVPs and ovuluses, that our equipment is working. And that being said, I like the fact that when the equipment is not working as well, because when there's nothing in the room and your ovulus doesn't go off and the REM pod isn't triggered and you don't get any EVPs on your equipment, that's a sign that nothing was there, and that is an answer. Nothing was there. Now, whenever the ovulus goes off and the REM pod's going off and your mel meter starts reading things and your equipment starts working, then you know that you have a possibility of a presence being with you, and your equipment starts to work. And it's a good feeling when it's all working both ways. So, but that's what the Spider team really tries to do, is go in and solve those cases, but then we try to deliver that extreme result at the end for the case to be finalized.
I also agree with what you said there, that sometimes if I'm on an investigation and, I don't use equipment, whenever I go on scene and I just don't feel anything happening in the house at all, it can be, somebody like me can really start to doubt themselves. Am I really not on today? Am I not tuned in? Questions start really going through the mind. But when I'm working with teams like yours and with Bill's, and I'm picking up on things, and then I'm hearing all of your equipment starting to go off, that kind of boosts my confidence, where I can say, okay, all right, they're getting what I'm getting, only we're just getting it differently. So that's kind of a bonus. So in all of your years that you have been investigating the presence of spirit and the presence of ghosts and hauntings that have been going on, what is your opinion of what happens to us when we die?
Now, that is a very good question. And, obviously the answer is kind of, how do you answer that in a way that we can only do the research that we do and try to kind of guess here. Who knows the real answer, right? But I'm a very religious person, Joe, and I love going to church on Sundays. I enjoy my worship time, and but I do consider myself religious, and what I mean by that is that I'm not just a denominational kind of person. I look at different various religions, whether it's Christianity, obviously, is number one, especially in the United States. You think of Hinduism, right? You think of Buddhism. And it's kind of interesting because the only religion that doesn't really talk a lot about spirits is Christianity. and that's the one that I'm part of.
Isn't that something?
It is, and I tell you what, and believe it or not, it did bug me a little bit for a while because I really participate in my church, and I love going to church, and I know you got to hear me talk a little bit at McPike, and one of the things that I always do bring up is that I try to use my spirituality as a pro thing in when I do the investigations, and so I studied pretty hard on the Christianity side and looking in the Bible. And Joe, something that hit home to me, and I hope that that this goes out and maybe can touch others that have tried to search for this question, because the Old Testament does kind of clearly state that that once you pass on, you go to heaven or you go to hell, and that's kind of the end. But I found this verse, and it is in the chapter of Luke 24:39. And this is after the crucifixion and Jesus has arose. And Jesus says this, "Look at my hands and my feet. It is I myself." He goes on to say, "Touch me and see. A ghost does not have flesh and bones, as you see that I have." Now, depending on what version that you're reading, you might see the word ghost, you might see the word spirit. But Joe, when I read that verse, that was enough to really tell me that it was okay to do what I do as a Christian. Because if Jesus can compare himself that when he arose, that no, I'm Jesus, I arose. Now, if I was a ghost, I would have no flesh, I would have no bones. You try to touch me, you would walk through me. It's Casper's real. And when I got that, I was so glad that I read that, and it hit home to me, because my Christianity is very important to me. And I am currently working on my book right now. I'm hoping to have it done here at the end of 2016. And my book is called I Believe. And it talks about believing.
That is amazing.
It
Zeff West is our guest here today on the World Beyond Radio Show. We're going to have to cut to a break for just a few minutes. And you are listening to The World Beyond on the X Zone Broadcast Network. We'll be right back with Zeff West in just a minute.
As host of Dialogue with Divinity, I am thrilled to join the X Zone Broadcast Network and their growing number of affiliates. My quest for a connection to the divine ignited my successful career path as an international spiritual counselor for over 40 years, an author of 4 books, and well-known metaphysical educator. My clients call me their spiritual mama. So my job is to offer you a radio show to help you grow spiritually with wisdom and get specific tools from guests who are experts in their field. Tune in to Dialogue with Divinity and be part of the conversation with Spirit. My goal, your happy soul. For more information, please visit my website at johannacarroll.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
Welcome back to the World Beyond Radio Show. I'm your host, Joe Weigant, and we're broadcasting here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network from Hamilton, Ontario. Our special guest today is Zeff West, who is the founder of Knox County Spiders Paranormal, and he can always be reached on his website, knoxcospiders.com. Before we went to break, Zeff was talking about the book that he's hoping to be finished with before the end of the year called I Believe. Tell us more about that, Zeff.
Yeah, currently trying to finish up on this the book I've been writing. I was in high hopes to have it more done towards October of 2016. I'm probably going to be pushing that off towards the end of probably November, December. but I still have it in line to be done in 2016. The title of the book is I Believe, and it took me a little bit to decide what I was going to title the book, more or less after it was wrote, before I decided what I was going to call it. And the reason why is because where I talk about believing in spirits, I also talk about believing in God. I'd also talk about believing in just yourself as well. So you have to believe in yourself. You got to believe that anything you put your mind to, anything that that really is a passion to you, you have to jump. You can't hold back. You've got to jump. You've got to do that. You've got to believe in yourself. And I believe in God, and I do believe in these spirits that we're out to do these paranormal investigations for. And the whole book really ties everything together, all the way from starting out at 10 years old with my father at the Shiloh Church, and it ends with I believe McPike, and I currently just started writing about our McPike trip just not too long ago. And so I'm hoping to even have that segment in the book as well. So, but that is the goal for the 2016 is to have this book, and I'm sure there'll be more information on the website when it is finally gone through and published.
Well, you let us know when that book is out, and we'll have you back on the show, and we'll let you talk about the book for a while, and we'll help you promote that. So you and I went to the McPike Mansion on September 10th of this year. Mm-hmm. How many times have you been to McPike?
I have been to McPike 2 different times, and basically they were both about a year apart. I went the year before, and then I went this year. Now, the year before was more of just a private lockdown with, and we were joined with Team Sippy, and we were able to do some fun things as far as doing some investigation, but we also had some tents and some camping out stuff, and we were able to have a good time and then do some ghost hunting on the side. And I was not able to prove anything the visit from two years ago. We did have some pretty interesting things happen with some walkie-talkies, and I believe that we actually did see a few things with our own eyes, and hear some noises like up in the, I believe, the main floor while we were in the cellar. But none of that was able to be processed to use as evidence. But this year, I believe, we have captured a shadow figure. And this shadow figure was captured with the Spider blackout cam. And what's interesting about the blackout cam is that it is triggered based upon motion. It was set up on the main floor, looking where the stairwell starts to go up to the second floor, and the door opening to the left side of the stairwell. And this, like I said, this camera's triggered off motion, and this camera is by itself on that floor. Some people were out by the fire, and some of us were down in the wine cellar. And so apparently something with motion decided to trigger the camera. Now, when the camera goes off, it takes 5 pictures, and they are a little bit less than a second apart. So when you see the actual photo itself, it tells you the temperature, and it tells you the time with the date. Now, on the time, it goes from the hour, the minute, and the second. So you can see the 5 different shots with the 5 different second changes. And on the, believe it's the second, third, and fourth picture, you can see the shadow figure come towards the steps through the door, turn back, and go back through the same door it just came out of. And then the 5th picture, it's out of the doorway. So as you watch these 5 pictures in actual motion, you can actually see the shadow figure very well. Now, you would not have been able to see it on one picture. You wouldn't have been able to notice that that was really a shadow figure. But as you watch the photos rotate, it is a very clear, distinctive shadow figure that comes from the left room to the main room where the staircase is. Now, one thing that I do as a paranormal investigator is I really use my networking resources very well. So that means that just because I think this is a shadow figure, I don't go, woohoo, here we go. I like to use my resources. So I called my good friend Bill Miller, and I said, hey, I have something. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I want you to take a look at it and see what it is, or what you think it could be. And as I sent him the information, and he looked at it and his programs and deciphered it and tried to think of what it could be, he came back to me and he said, you know what, Zeff? I think you caught a shadow figure. And I was like, that is perfect, because I have tried to debunk this every which way, and I think it's a shadow figure as well. Once we made the decision that
Isn't that
we
something?
once we made the decision that that both of us agreed on it, we decided to take it to a very nice lady who owns McPike, which is Sharon and George, and those two are great people to get to know and work with. And Sharon went to look at it, and she messaged me back saying, this is great stuff. We really appreciate you guys coming up here and being able to collect this data. And Joe, I know we talked about what Spiders stands for, but that means so much to me of what our title is, that every day when I do these investigations, my goal is not to be on the Ghost Hunters TV show. My goal is to help people like Sharon and those clients out there that know that something's there, but they can't prove it besides just walk in there and listen for a while, you know. And we want to solve these paranormal investigations and deliver the extreme results. And that's exactly what we did at McPike this year. I know a lot of people, including you, we were in the wine cellar. We had some things going on. We heard noises, and we tried to use the proper equipment to take photos, and we were able to catch that piece of that shadow figure, what we were hearing that night. And that means the world to me, that because we all knew something was there. We could feel it. And to see that shadow figure captured, that means that everything was worth it, you know. And I'm going to steal this from Bill Miller. We do these investigations, and it's like 90% of the night you're just sitting in the dark twiddling your thumbs. But the 10% of the night that everything goes so well, and you catch those pieces, is enough to get us crazy folks back at it again, you know. And I've always loved his saying about that.
We had a lot of experiences down there in that cellar. We had a lot of experiences down in that cellar that night, and you know, the REM pod, the glow in the dark top kept fading in and out, and we heard footsteps above us, and you know, the two people behind me could feel a cold spot between them. So you know, they had a pretty good idea there was something standing between them. I documented all this on the blog that I wrote on this investigation. And I posted that up on all of my social sites. We had a lot of really good experiences there, and I was hoping that you would have captured something on your equipment that really would have at least verified or validated the things that we were feeling with our bodies and experiencing with ourselves down there. You know, there was 20 people down there, and everybody walked away with a real good, solid feeling that we weren't alone in that room.
That is so true. That is so true, Joe.
So, have you had any? We only have a minute here, but have you had any real harrowing experiences outside of evidence collection during your investigations?
Well, we only have a minute here, so just a quick story. That the only time that I could say that I really saw something with my eyes that really got me was at the Rockport Inn. I was actually in the dining room. I had the equipment set up, And like I say, I don't get the feelings and stuff like some of the other people with their talents do. But when my equipment started going off, like the REM pod, then my attention was ready. And boy, when I turned to look at the table and I saw this tall guy with a top black hat looking at me, I lost it. And I became a believer then with my own eye. So, but Joe, I want to thank you for having me here on the World Beyond radio show. And this adds a little bit to the resume here that been on the radio. We have been on the Channel 7 Haunted Hometown, and we've been in multiple articles in the Sun commercial. And now it's been on the World Beyond radio station. So
our special guest today has been Zeff West, and he is a paranormal investigator with Knox County Spiders. And you are listening to the World Beyond radio show. I'm your host, Joe Weigant, and we are on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And you can always reach me at joe@reikichoice.com.